Now, okay, hello Runescapefar fans, this is Runescapefar, and today with me we have TheNekoMimiGamer. Hello.
Meow meow peeps, I'm the NekoMimiGamer and I'm here working on the stream.
Yep, so today we're going to discuss the video game industry and why it's failing, and most of the time it's actually not the gaming industry itself, it's us, and we're going to discuss why it's our fault.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how the gaming industry has both been a really big role, both positively and negatively, in our culture and society. People
Very,
only
very,
see one side.
yes, they do. You're either on the side for it or on the side against it. That's There's no middle where you either accept it or you kind of accept it, but at the same time you don't accept it. There's none of that. It's just you accept it or you don't accept it.
And so, which part do we want to talk about first?
But let's
You
start
mentioned
off
3 key discussions.
first. Let's start off where the gaming industry's kind of lost a lot. We're going all the way back here to the Atari era when the great game
Yes.
happened. So what happened with that was too many games were being rushed out before they had a time to be properly tested. So that really drew away a lot of quality from these companies and caused a lot of them to go bankrupt. There's the famous ET game.
Yeah, it's something that's very upsetting, especially since I took a few classes in creating games. It's like, if you don't test it out by yourself or someone else, you don't test it out to make sure the game is not flawed or it's not glitched, then yeah, there is going to be some stuff
Is
that
there are
slips through
several
the cracks.
games? There are several games that I've read that were in the Guinness World Record book actually for the worst games ever created through failure of testing. So these games would have like glitches that would just crash the system completely, or the characters would just spontaneously explode or die, or things would just appear out of nowhere that shouldn't be appearing there.
If I may, there is one really bad glitch that's actually in a more recent game that a lot of people both love or hate, or both. And that
Okay,
is
let's hear it.
and that is the glitch in Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. Sword, excuse me. Blah. Now, I actually heard this from multiple people, a friend of mine included, who is now on leave in Okinawa during the U.S. Army. But anyway, he told me that there was a game-ending glitch when trying to get the pieces of the Song of the Hero from the Dragons. You have to get them in a specific order, or the game messes up permanently.
Ooh, and see those are the kind of glitches that players don't like.
And the order you absolutely have to get them in is Farron, Eldon, then Lanayru.
Hmm. Well, definitely thanks for sharing that advice. If any of my followers here or her followers play that game, there you go. That's how you prevent it from crashing.
Ugh.
But
I got.
even in, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just kind of thinking to myself how I think it was unnecessary to have the Motion Plus controls added because it miscalibrates so terribly at the worst possible time.
Yeah, that is another issue with games being developed nowadays. It's all about the newest technology, but sometimes it's really great in idea, but when you actually create the product, it's more of a hassle than what you originally dreamed it would be, like with the Wii and the Kinect.
Yeah.
But back to the beta testing and everything, the gaming industry needs that more because even today with mobile games, I'm noticing this a lot in mobile games now, that a lot of games are just rushed onto the mobile market. They got so many glitches and problems in the early stages of the release, and then they are constantly updating it left and right to try to quickly fix these problems. If they would have beta tested it earlier or released a pre-beta version, that
They could
it
have avoided some of that.
Exactly, because with the pre-beta versions, because I played some of those, and yes, they did have glitches, but that was because it was released as a pre-beta. As if you guys seen my Hello Neighbor videos, you would have saw that they've crashed. I mean,
Hmm.
several times because that was the pre-alpha, which is same thing as the beta version, but that you are expected to have those crashes. If you release the full version untested and everything, that just really hurts your company's reputation providing quality games for players everywhere.
Beta testing should also apply to other games, not just software specifically, but maybe MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, for instance.
I never played World of Warcraft, but I have played RuneScape. I know there were several updates that they made that they should have beta tested first because they did not go over too well.
World of Warcraft is actually in quite a rapid decline right now, as much as Blizzard,
I noticed
as
that.
much. Well, you see, it, it was a really fun game. It was doing perfectly well, especially during Cataclysm, and then Mist of Pandaria came out, and lots of new features were added, including being able to instantly get your new skills upon level up instead of having to go to a trainer, which gave convenience. And there was also a new race to play,
Mm,
and then when um, Warlords of Draenor came out, they changed a lot of stuff that uh what the hell is the word that she used for it? There was mm, they nerfed some of the classes, especially Hunter Beastmaster.
so they merged them together instead of keeping them separate.
No, they kept everything like completely separate after that. You couldn't even have a little bit of each anymore.
Ah,
Discipline Priest was completely gone,
hmm,
and now
yeah.
that Legion is out, there's other stuff that I probably won't go into absolute detail for, but there's a lot of stuff that just they shouldn't have done. They shouldn't have done. Like they've
Yeah, they would
actually
have.
made it harder for people who are starting at level 1.
And see, that's also another problem with online games, MMORPGs, is they don't have a ranked server or anything. So if you're a new player, you're instantly thrown in there with all the professionals, which is a reason why I don't really play Call of Duty online or anything of that because I'm a level 4 and these guys are level 50 prestige 5 or 10 times and
That's one thing that really annoyed me with World of Warcraft is that there would be these level 50-years trying to challenge me to a duel, and I'm like, hello, do you not see that I'm only a level 15?
and that's what they do. They
You're
like
going to
to
one hit
prey
me.
on lower level
Uh,
people.
I'm not going to finish that sentence. That's no, that's swearing.
But yeah, when they do these updates, they need to kind of test them out first with players, have a select few bunch of players or even the moderators to test them to see if they actually work properly and if the other players would actually like it. Like one of the updates that really pissed me off in RuneScape was for a while you can actually go into the wilderness and not be killed. Then of course they released a patch that fixed that and I was not informed of that and lost all my crap.
Who the heck even reported that? That's just mean. I mean,
Yeah, well,
whoever
they
did
went back
that
to
just
the
ruined it for
original
a bunch of
bugs.
people.
But another one of the updates that made me
I mean,
mad was, oh, what were you gonna say?
it's like, I mean, sure, a bug is a bug, but still, if it's helpful, who the heck would report that?
Eh, yeah, but one of the other updates that happened to RuneScape that made me really furious was the stores where you could go in there and sell things directly to the general store, and then people cannot other when other players do, you could buy their items strictly through that and not through the Grand Exchange, which was much more convenient. I mean, of course, you were still
Excuse me.
limited to what the other players sold, and bless you, but it still was much more convenient than having to go all the way to from the nearest town to Florence to go to the Grand Exchange.
Mm, I see what you mean there.
Mm. But for this subject, to wrap it up, the beta testing for companies, they need to do a much better job with beta testing everything, even updates, to ensure that the players will actually enjoy the update, or if it's just going to be an inconvenience, especially to older players who have been playing the game for a long time. For newer players, they wouldn't really know what it was like before the update, so you can't really include them in it.
Mm.
But now moving past on the Atari age, and after the game market crash, one of the leading innovators of video games, who I think is the leading innovator, Nintendo, started one of the biggest downfalls in the gaming industry, and that was gender selection for games.
Ugh. I don't know much about Nintendo's downfall other than the Virtual Boy.
Well,
Let's
what
face it.
Nintendo did. Oh, go ahead.
That thing was just. It was. It was never meant to be released in the state it was in. I mean, it was only one solid color, which hurts some people's eyes. The the way it played practically made it so that every time you finished playing, you would have to visit a chiropractor right afterwards. And it eats batteries.
That is a definite true. But what caused all of video game industries to downfall was related to this key marketing strategy that Nintendo did. Because after the market crash, Nintendo was developed and they decided to release their games not in the video game aisle, but in the toy aisle. And at the time, the toys were separated: blue for boys, pink for girls. So Nintendo went with the boys, and all their marketing advertising was strictly showing boys playing these games and no girls. Where the older ones, for like the Atari, the Sega Genesis, all those older consoles, they had more of a family vibe from the advertisements, where Nintendo was strictly focusing on the male side of the demographics.
Little did they know.
Yep, and by doing so, they've also, and other companies using this strategy, they have actually lost out on the market of the female gamers who, and statistics have shown that they play more of the mobile games like Candy Crush, because I know everybody in my family plays that, and almost everybody I know plays that.
I used
But a
to
lot of
play
them
it.
are women. A lot of them are women. So these companies that are doing the mobile games are realizing that, and they are creating more games that are geared towards gender neutrality, or male games and female games. Where the consoles and PC gaming, it's still up for debate if there's more games geared for guys or games geared for girls. And is it really meant for guys or is it really meant for girls?
Well, there have been a lot of updates to certain games. I wouldn't say updates per se, but there are a lot of games on the market that uh, do add the female aspect. I'm not sure if it's just so that guy gamers can have something to stare at while they gameplay.
There's also that aspect.
Sorry, just reminded me of one of my friends.
And well, that is also another reason.
But it's not impossible for girls to really get into the gaming industry. It's just
No, it's not
really
just these.
difficult.
Go ahead.
Uh, hold on a second, my train of thought crashed. I hate when it happens. And there are
So,
some games that are appealing to not really either gender, but mostly those who are young or young at heart, like Slime Rancher. That
or
game is
Minecraft.
Minecraft to me is an electronic version of Legos.
Sure, which Roblox is also.
I've heard too many negative things about Roblox to actually try it, like people getting their accounts hacked.
That was a problem, but they have since fixed that problem. But one of the key things that was great about Roblox was you are creating your own game for people to play, and you can play other games that people have created. It's a great tool for people who want to go into the video game designing industry.
Meh. I just used Game Maker and that was it for everything that I made.
I mean, I've seen a lot of great games that have. As I played Roblox for 13 years, and in the 13 years, every time I get back on there with the new updates, it's always fascinating how much they've changed the graphic contents, the layout, giving you more abilities to create more amazing things that could actually be a video game of themselves outside of Roblox if they would get the money to do so.
I need to check to see if any of my Steam games need updating and to see what the updates are actually.
Mm-hmm. And that's also important for you guys when you update any type of software. Don't just click OK. Read it to make sure that it's not going to take away something that you love about the game and replace it with something you're going to hate.
Oh, I have an experience with this one.
Share it.
Oh boy. So it started when I was first joining a gaming guild, like a pretty hardcore gaming guild. Like most of them were only active at night. So I kind of lost some sleep for college days because of it. So anyway, we were playing this game called The Exiled Realm of Aboria, aka Terra. And I joined this one guild, and I was collecting just random things and storing them in the guild bank because turns out they came in handy for later quests or even crafting materials.
Smart.
However, with one of the latest updates to Terra, they took away the usage of the guild bank until the guild was level 30. And my guild was not doing PvP of any kind, so we were stuck at level 0.
That's unfair in so many ways.
Yeah, and we had a ton of crafting materials, recipes, armor, potions, just a lot of stuff that was in that guild bank. And now none of us can get into it. Mostly
See, I
because
think
I'm
that
the
should have
only
been.
active player.
I think the older players should have been grandfathered into it to still have a lot access to their previous stuff.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's really not. It's just I just really wanted to scream at somebody for that. But
Yeah.
we still have use of our personal banks.
Mm-hmm. But back to the topic of genders in video gaming. If you actually take a look at most of the newer games, they're more geared toward guys than they are girls. Like the most advertisement you see for games is like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, other games that are more prominent to male viewers than.
I kind of feel that even if you have MMORPGs that have the ability to create a female character, I think it's more geared towards the visual appealing of males.
Which I do agree with you with that, and it shouldn't be like that. If you have female characters, you should make the game up to where both genders can get advantages of the game versus just one sex, but we'll just include the second one just for PR.
More like eye candy.
Yeah,
It's kind of
we
sickening to
allow
think
women
about
to
that.
play, but we're mostly going to focus on the men. But women can play as
Mm-hmm.
well. We put a female character in there, so yeah, you can play.
Saying, I go in there, I create a female character. Why the heck am I half naked?
That is also true. Sex sells, and with games and advertisement especially, you definitely see a lot of that in there.
It's just, it's like, did they just give these guys who are so lonely, like they only have games in their life, they don't have a girlfriend? It's like, cause that's just,
It's sad.
it's very sad.
Mm. And I definitely think if the gaming industry looked at that and realized what they were doing and changed it, I think the gaming industry can have a dramatic improvement in profits and new games. So the next topic we'll talk about here is one that I personally find that these companies can actually do something about it, and that is how
Excuse me.
they create their games in a way that is compatible with consoles. Like you have outdated consoles, newer consoles, the newer consoles become outdated, and so forth and so forth. And then all the games you just bought you now have to throw away unless they are reverse compatibility. But by doing that, only certain games will be reverse compatibility, and you still got to throw the other ones out. Which is why I never bought a PS3 and still have my Xbox 360.
Mm. It really is kind of sad that most. I've only ever had experience with this with Nintendo, but a lot of their stuff was reverse compatible with just one generation. Like, for instance, the Game Boy Advance was only reverse compatible with Game Boy Color.
And the Game Boy Advance SP.
Yes, same with Game Boy Advance SP. That was actually the only one I had. I never even saw a standard Game Boy Advance until I saw one at the flea market.
Oh yeah, I've seen the Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP, which I personally own and still have today.
So do I.
But yeah, when they went to the DS, they did allow the games for the Game Boy Advance SP, but not so much the games for the original Game Boy games.
The original Game Boy. That was my first handheld console.
Like I tried putting in my DS as soon as I got it. I used my Pokemon Yellow Pikachu edition to try plug it into the game slot for that, and it wouldn't fit in there because they wouldn't allow it.
They made it specifically designed so you can only fit one of them in because the Advance chips and the Game Boy Color chips are differently shaped, and I don't just mean by their length.
Yeah, the technology used to create them has also changed, so there's also that.
It's like the difference between the 3DS chips and the DS chips. It's like they're similarly shaped, but there's like one part of it that kind of prevents one from going into the other.
Exactly. And with the new 3DS, they did actually allow older DS games to play on there, which actually made me
Oh,
really
did they? I'm really glad.
yeah, because I was able to play my Pokemon Platinum and whatnot and transfer all my Pokemon over to my Pokemon X game.
I actually need a new 3DS sometime soon because the chip reader is going out. I can't even play Smash properly, and some of my other chips won't read at all.
See, that sucks right there when that happens.
I mean, the game that really plays the best is Rune Factory 2 of Fantasy Harvest Moon because I played that one the most, even though I've beaten it already.
Yeah. We've all had those games that we beat so many times, yet we still play them.
I mean, there's still more to it. Even after beating it, you could still level up other things. It's like
I
it's like
want to go back and
one
stuff.
game you can never truly beat 100% because there's always something new, sort of.
But back to the
And
topic of.
reverse compatibility, yeah.
But one of the problems I see is a lot of these old games that were great sellers on the like the original Xbox game that's made it onto multiple platforms, able to play on the newer consoles. Like I got a Conflict Desert Storm Vietnam. Now, that was a big one on the PlayStation 2, as with all the Conflict Desert Storm games. But when I brought it on there, they said it was not reverse compatibility with the Xbox 360. So while looking at the list, I found out the only Conflict Desert Storm game or Conflict game that reverse compatibility was Desert Storm 2. Not even the first one was reverse compatibility. Only the second one in the entire series.
That ain't fair.
No, and that really pissed me off because I also couldn't take it back. They had a no return policy on used games.
Ah!
Yeah, so that really pissed me off because my cousin had the Xbox 360 way before me, and all the games he had just so happened to be the ones that were compatibility, and me thinking, oh, they must all be reverse compatibility for it, just like all the PlayStation games I have work perfectly on my PlayStation 2.
Yeah, I definitely think the reverse compatibility thing should be applied to more than just one generation back, especially for Nintendo consoles, because you know, I kind of get tired of having to tug around multiple handheld devices just to play like a Link Between Worlds, for instance, and suddenly, oh, maybe I want to play the Oracle series. I mean, sure, I have it on Virtual Console. It's available through Nintendo eShop, but that's not the point here.
You already have the original hard copy. Why would you pay for a digital version?
Exactly.
Like
And then
when I try to re-download Minecraft on here, my Windows 10, they want me to buy the Windows 10 version when I already have the original Minecraft. So I went through Mojang to re-download it, and then it said, well, you need Java. Well, the new Internet Explorer 10 doesn't support Java. So then I had to download Firefox to download Java.
excuse me.
So that just made it a very long and complicated process just so I could play Minecraft. And I had to be forced to buy the Windows 10 version.
And then there's the issue with people complaining about how uh, console emulators are taking away from profit over the actual games. I'm like, the only reason why I'm getting the emulators and ROMs to play with them is because I can't find the actual consoles anymore, nor games to actually play them on.
Exactly, like recently, since I'm doing a bunch of YouTube videos on games, I've been getting copyright permission from companies, and I emailed Alware and GoGo Games, the creators of the Brave Dwarf series, and the creator GoGo Games emailed me back saying that they have no legal copies anymore, an American legal copy of it. However, we give you permission to pirate the game illegally, which really surprised me.
Well then. But
Yeah,
yeah, I had to. It's like there were several games that I really wanted to play, but I couldn't find a copy of the game, nor a Nintendo 64 console. So I ended up getting Project 64 along with games like
which I
Banjo
also
Kazooie
have.
and Star Fox.
Yeah, Project 64 is one of the best and safest emulators out there. It will always work. So definitely use that one. But yeah, in regards to emulators, there's a lot of games that Nintendo are remaking that are great, and I'm glad that they're doing that, especially when they don't edit anything. Like when they remade Super Mario 64 by adding additional characters to play and making it multiplayer, that just threw out the whole original single player experience of just playing as Mario, saving Princess Peach.
I know, right? That
I
was
mean,
probably one of the
I saw
most awesome ideas they ever came up with.
Yeah, I mean, it took away the originality of the game when they remastered it to the Wii U. But one of the games they did remaster that I was proud of was Donkey Kong 64 because the only thing that changed with that was the control layout, but nothing
Yeah.
else was added on. They didn't change Tiny Kong to the new version of Tiny Kong. They actually kept her the original short Tiny Kong.
I've actually tried the console version of Donkey Kong when I was at a card shop, and well, I didn't do so well.
It's definitely a hard game, but it's one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games of all time next to
Yeah,
Super Mario 64.
it's good. I'll give it that. It's just my timing was just way too off. It's like
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out the timing of various objects, and I couldn't figure out where they were going to go next because sometimes they would fall down one place and sometimes they would go in the other direction. It's just kind of confusing.
And the way I look at it with the emulators is the company should actually profit from these instead of just saying it, oh, it's pirating, it's copywriting. Because, like I said, with Alware and GoGo Games, they could not find a legal. They no longer had a legal version of it for me to purchase, so they told me to pirate the game. If they actually created a downloadable ROM file like the pirates are doing, then they could profit from that. And just like with the emulators, if you want the original Super Mario 64, well, Nintendo should create a ROM version of that, since the original Nintendo 64 version is no longer being sold, no longer being profited from. You can no longer buy it from any official Nintendo stores. So create the ROM so that way people can actually still play the original versions. If they profited off of this, it would be a great improvement for the gaming industry, because they wouldn't deem it as illegal, and you would actually have good quality ROMs that aren't half-assed or half completed. Just like the Donkey Kong 64 emulator I tried, because I was searching for a legal copy, but you couldn't jump through the barrels and go to the next mission or whatnot. It just kept on glitching out. So it was a very poor crafted ROM. And I'd also like to say this about the ROMs. There's a lot of great ROMs out there for games that either it never made to America, it was only a Japanese release, like the Sailor Moon game I did a YouTube video on a while back. That version is actually a modified version of the original one to support English. And that game wasn't even remastered for anything else for the Japanese version. And with that saying that, the ROMs offer more games that Nintendo just will not remaster, or may eventually remaster but change it completely to appeal to the modern gamers.
Really.
Yeah.
I
mean,
really liked the way the Sailor Moon game plays. I mean, it's basically another Bejeweled, but there are other things in there that you just don't find in the original, like being able to make or a T or an L shape of 7 gems, and it suddenly makes all of their gems of that particular color into. No, wait. The paint gem, which looks like a flower, you swap it with any other gem, all gems of that color change to the color of the flower. And it makes for some pretty hectic combos.
But I think we were talking about the wrong Sailor Moon game.
Sailor Moon drops?
That's the one you're talking about. I was talking about the original Japanese version of Sailor Moon game that was created for the SNES.
Oh, I never even heard of that. Sorry.
I'll have to share the video with it. It's a lot of text, so it's a text-based game, kind of. But it's also like a RPG game. We can play as different scouts, have your team set up, walk around, battle bad guys. It's really fun. It's actually almost like a Project X that Nintendo had, except just Sailor Moon. It's definitely fun. But I would definitely agree, and if you agree with me, that video game companies need to start actually producing ROMs themselves to not only help their companies out and not discourage gamers from trying to get a hold of these original games that they actually want to play, and also to help preserve the history of video games.
Yeah, and it's really not like the people who make the wrongs to be downloaded by other people are actually profiting on them.
Exactly. All the ROMs I got were for free.
Yeah. Emulators too. If you get it from the right person.
You see, the emulators are legal, but the ROMs aren't. And I feel that they also, by doing the ROMs, they are also preserving the history. So like I said, a lot of these companies, they are not reviving, they are not bringing back any of the series or even continuing them. They're just killing them off. That's it. Get the original game, get the original console, which could cost you $600 for the console alone, and then whoever the hell's charging the price for the game you want.
I can't even afford any of the new consoles.
And that's actually another problem with the gaming industry. They're making the consoles too expensive, and the games are too expensive. And for like the games like Destiny, you pay the price for it, but then you got to pay for the additional content to actually continue the storyline, which I don't approve of.
Just like similarly, World of Warcraft makes you play up to level 20 for free, and if you pay for a sub, even if it's just for 1 month, and you level up past that, they don't allow you to use that character if your sub runs out. I'm like, could you at least make it usable so I can still play? I just won't gain any more XP?
Yeah, see, the way what RuneScape did was, which is the reason why I stuck with RuneScape over World of Warcraft, was for the fact that they had a members count, non-members count. The non-members count was almost the exact same as members, but members had special features and they had a whole other side of the map that they could go to. And even if your
Sounds similar
membership
to Terra.
and if your membership expired, you still kept the items. You couldn't use them, but you could keep them and put them in your bank. And even that, it will still count as a member item in your bank and not a normal item. So if I have my normal bank is maxed out and I have member items, and I can still put those in there and it'll be under a different slot, which I can still withdraw from, even if I'm not a member.
Cool.
And I definitely like it now because with the newest update, they actually opened up a lot of the areas that were not for members, that it was strictly free player or strictly members only, no free players, and they've opened a lot of that up, which really makes me happy.
That's really good.
And one of the other things they did was a lot of the skills that were strictly members only. I think you can get up to level 15 in all member skills, but after that you gotta be a member to go any higher. So I definitely think MMORPG should kind of follow in the steps of RuneScape when doing that.
I mean, there are some games that already do that, like Terra and Star Wars: The Old Republic. There's not much difference between having a paid account and a standard account.
It's just paid accounts, you get a little bit extra and you do a little bit more things, but you still do things in the free account and not be horrendously restricted.
Yep.
But back to the console price and everything, the reason, again, why I love Nintendo so much is their consoles are cheap and their games are cheap. They've always been cheaper than every other game console out there, to where you can afford them. I mean, let's see. I'm going to do a little quick research here, so if you got anything to say, go ahead and do it.
There's another thing I really wanted to discuss. Why people think that it's okay to blame video games for violence in real life.
I've done so many college essays on that.
Well, then we're on the same page, because I've done one college essay on that.
Mm-hmm. Basically, I do agree with you. It does not make kids more violent. Now, for younger ages, I would say this, that it could influence them, because that is, like, if you're a 6-year-old playing an M-rated game, everything that's in that game, you're still absorbing it. And unless your parents teach you right from wrong, there's nothing really telling you, okay, it's okay in the video game, so it must be okay in real life. The parents have to come in and say, this is a video game. This is not real life. You cannot do these things that you can do in these video games.
It's like my mother taught me much earlier on than that. It's like when I was playing Rise of the Triad, the older version that kind of came out in like 1993 or something, or maybe it was 1995. But anyway, I was 3 years old when I was started playing. And to me, like, hey, if you ever feel angry, just turn on the video game and beat the crap out of somebody, blow the ever living hell out of them. It's like, just make sure you don't do that in real life, because people can actually get hurt.
And
Say that.
I looked up the price here. So for the Nintendo 64, when it first came out in the 1990s, Nintendo sold it for $199.99. So that's $200 for the US price. When the PlayStation 1 first came out in the 90s, $299. So $300 right there.
Jimmy.
And when the PlayStation 2 came out, it also sold for $299.
That's quite a lot. I mean, back then it was, maybe. Nowadays, that's not so much.
And then when the Nintendo GameCube came out, which was next generation with the PlayStation 2, it still came out for $200. Not no $300, but $200. And then let's see. When the Wii came out, it was $249, which that is a fair price for that console. Let's see. When the Wii came out, the Xbox 360 came out, and that was about $100.
So again, not much difference.
Hang on. Let's see. Okay, yeah, the original price for the Xbox 360 when it was first released was $400. And that came around the same exact time as the Wii did. So once again, Nintendo still offered a cheaper console that had great games on it, and the games were still cheaper than the Xbox games or the PlayStation games. And see, another thing with the prices is these games, they're not really deserving of the prices. I mean, look at the Call of Duty series. It's pretty much the same plot over and over again, different era, different enemies, but it still has the same storyline feel. So I wouldn't want to pay $60 for that when I have the same experience playing some of the previous Call of Duty games. But games like Nintendo, they could actually go for a little bit more because original. All the games are original. Sure, there may be games, but each Mario game is completely different from the previous ones. Have you seen the trailer for the new Mario Odyssey game for the Switch?
No, I haven't yet. I haven't really followed the Mario games as much as I followed Legend of Zelda.
But if you look at that trailer, then look back at all the other Mario games, this one is it's completely different with the gaming mechanics, and it just blows open the Mario world completely. And I should also say this: another reason why I like Nintendo the most is they actually create a lot of their own games, like Mario and Zelda, several other games. While Microsoft and Sony, they rely mostly on third-party games to help make their revenue, which I think they should actually create more of their own games.
Can't stop liking some more meat.
Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to think here. When the Super Mario or the Smash Bros. Came out, that gave Sony the idea. I'm trying to think of what the name of it is, but Sony basically created their own version of that.
Hey, we're gonna have to put this conversation on pause because grandmother's asking me for lunch.
Okie dokie. So we'll make
I'll be
another
back as
video.
quick as I can.
Okie dokie.
Shouldn't take too long. So just call it an intermission.
So right now we are on standby. Let me check something here. Okie dokie, we'll hopefully be getting back with you guys here shortly.
May I? Yes, yes. May I?
Sure.
Is it too light? Too bright?
It's okay. Let's see. See, I'll take this time to answer any questions you guys may have in the live comments. As soon as I figure out where that's at on here. Again, sorry for the inconvenience here.
In a mech.
Okie dokie, hang on here 1 second. So I just included a subscribe circle for you, so that way people can click on it and subscribe to your channel.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and we are back. So welcome back.
So before the break, you were talking about the price differences in consoles.
Yes, and I believe that the game companies should lower their prices on their consoles for the fact that not many people can afford them. And with Nintendo, they realize that, and they have always made their consoles cheap and their games cheap, so that people can actually afford to buy them and play them.
Mm.
And I think that's also a big reason why the video game industry is going down. And then you also got the PC gaming. Can't forget to leave them out. With Steam, where they offer great discounts on so many games.
Another thing I like about Steam is that as long as you're logged into an account, you don't have to purchase a game a second time if you've already bought it.
Yes.
Even if you uninstall a game, you don't have to purchase it a second time.
Mm-hmm. Problems with Steam that I found is some of the Steam games on there, like I've gotten Call of Duty Black Ops on there and all the DLCs for that, and I was having problems with them actually running. So when I emailed Treyarch about them, they said it's because we did not make Black Ops Windows 10 compatible, and we will not update it to do so, so you will experience problems.
Well, that's a pain in the neck.
Yes, and I've noticed that with a lot of games or a lot of the Steam games is they are no longer compatible with my computer, or they won't run on Windows 10, but they'll run on my piece of crap Windows 7 laptop, which I rather have them running on my new, faster tower.
Yeah. I still have stuff running on my Windows 10 laptop. Not Windows 10, Windows 7. I mean, at one point I did get Windows 10, but then I had to get an antivirus software, and Windows 10 choked, like horribly. I mean, it would still boot up, but absolutely nothing would run except for Windows 10 apps.
Yeah, that was the problem with Windows 10, and this is actually why I'm not a big PC gamer, for the fact that one is actually very uncomfortable to be at a keyboard with your hands propped up a certain way that can cut off blood circulations and make you even more uncomfortable. But also with the newer PC games that come out, they're all PC games, but you have to pay money to buy a new console or pay even more money to upgrade your tower.
Sorry, cat.
Oh. And one of the big problems with that is a lot of the things, it's just not that simple. Like I asked my tech friends if I could easily upgrade my tower to 8 gigabytes, and they said, yeah, sure. They helped me find out a 8 gigabyte RAM chip that was a very good affordable price. However, to use that and several of the other cheap ones, I had to upgrade the motherboard. I also had to upgrade the power source, which would have cost me $1,000.
Holy snap rocket, at that point you might as well just build your own tower.
Actually, I was going to. It would have cost, let's see, $1,375. And that was built by my friends with their specs for the perfect gaming PC. Would run almost all the games Steam has to offer and all the old games that I still have.
Yo-ho!
like the PC itself costed me $660 with 6 GB of RAM. And a lot of these newer games require 8 GB or more, which really pissed me off because
Yeah.
I had gotten 4 through the Steam Christmas sale for like $30, and I waited like a good 3 or 4 hours to play this game. And when I finally get it downloaded and try to launch it, it won't launch because the minimum requirement is 8 GB of RAM.
Yeah, I would never be able to play it because my laptop has only 4 gigs of RAM.
And so does my laptop, and that's why I also wanted a tower because, for one thing, if it breaks, I can order the parts to fix it, and second
Yeah.
of all, I can always upgrade it.
Yeah. I got my laptop back in 2011, back when 4 gigs was mainstream.
Yeah, that's when around the time I got my Toshiba.
Really? You have a Toshiba too?
It's a laptop, but it's starting to fall apart. I literally have duct tape on it.
Oh, goodness.
But with the PC, I always hear PC gamers say they're the master race. They're the best game console out there. But when you look at the prices, and every time a new game comes out, you got to upgrade the RAM, board, and the power supply and everything. Is it really worth it to console where once you buy the console, all the games that are released in that time will work on that console?
It's like PC gaming is really no different than console gaming because it still has to be updated. The hardware itself still has to be updated.
True, but unlike console
Eventually,
games, PC games when they update, like the newest update for Fallout 3 through Steam actually made it completely incompatible with my Windows 10 computer. And when I first got this in November, I was running Fallout 3 perfectly on this computer. And then recently, after that update, it was no longer compatible.
and some people wonder why I like to run Linux.
Linux is the best choice because you can choose the software that you want on there and how to run it.
Yeah. And you only get updates for that particular version of the software up until they stop making it.
Yeah. But like I'm a retro gamer, so like I got a lot of old PC games, and surprisingly, like I actually got some of my '90s games to run on Windows 10 perfectly.
I got only one 90s game to run on
Which,
Windows 10 perfectly, and that was the original Rise of the Triad. Not the 2013 version, surprisingly, but the original game, which, by the way, I got off of GoogleGames.com.
nice. And like one of the games I actually tried to reinstall on here was the first Alien versus Predators PC game, and that would actually no longer run even on my laptop anymore after the I think 3 updates. But and it wouldn't run on my Windows 10. However, thanks to Steam, they actually preserved the game and re-released the original version, and you can still find it on Steam.
Now that's cool.
And that's actually why I also do like Steam. I don't like it because a lot of games they sell I can't play because they won't run on my computer because they're too old or they're too new and I don't meet requirements. But they do preserve a lot of games, like all the original Duke Nukem games. They did remaster those, but they also did include the original version of the game without the enhanced graphics and controls. I like that they do that.
I really like the 8-bit, 32-bit, and other stuff, pixelated stuff, because it leaves the images more to the imagination.
Oh yeah, and
And I
actually,
really had to
with
sneeze.
that, we'll go to our last topic of this, and that is what the users actually want from a game. Then it was, and I see this still like on Google Plus with people posting, okay, this is what this game looks like on the Xbox 360. This is what it looks like on the PlayStation 4. This is what it looks like on the PC, claiming the PC has the best graphics. Graphics do not make a game.
Of course not. They just make it laggier, depending on your hardware.
Exactly. The better graphics you have, the better systems you gotta have, and that also is why the Xbox consoles, the PlayStation consoles, that's why their prices keep on going up because they gotta have more expensive hardware to run these things.
That's another reason why World of Warcraft is in a decline, is because they made the graphics better and not necessarily the game itself. So it's a lot laggier. It's like, I was happy back when we had crappy mesh but good textures.
Oh yeah, like the when they remastered the original Resident Evil, so I went ahead and got that. And I played the original one. At the same time, it did bring back the same fear that the original Resident Evil had brought back to me from the PlayStation One. However, with the new graphic, it also did lack the game where you would go to a corner and there would be a dark spot that you couldn't really tell. Is there something there? Is there not? With the newer version, you could definitely tell, oh, there's a zombie right there in that corner. But with the original pixelated version for the PlayStation 1, dark corners were your worst enemies because you did not know what was
Oh
lurking.
boy.
And that
Yeah,
really brought
dark
scare
corners.
people.
It's like turning a corner in one of the Legend of Zelda games and suddenly there's a Beamos there.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh. Speaking of which,
hmm
what? Ugh. I'm not sure if this is really relevant to the game's decline, but I just really hate Beamos. I'm like terrified of them. Them and Armo statues in Legend of Zelda, and it seems like the more they make new games, the more they update those horrible things as well, and it just makes me too scared to play it.
Yeah, and if you think
Like,
about it, like in today's game industry, for horror games, most of them rely on the cheesy jump scares. There's no true horror. The things that made me afraid in Resident Evil was the poor graphics, because that just made it around corners and everything. And yes, they did have
yeah,
jump scares, but it was the music. That it was the
the
music.
ambience.
Yes,
Get,
because I knew when I
cat,
heard
don't
that
tickle me.
one tune that Nemesis was coming around the corner and I better prepare or something eerie lies ahead and I better proceed with precaution. I don't know what it is.
That's me the first time I got killed by a tank in Left 4 Dead 2.
Eh,
I was trying to get to my
you,
other teammates because I was the lone survivor, and I got killed by that nasty guy first.
eh,
It
yeah.
was not fun.
And then, but what was the topic again? Oh yeah, game graphics. Look at all these old games we have that were great sellers back then. They like Super Mario 64. That was the leading game in graphics. Thanks to that is why we have the graphics we have today,
Mhm.
the continuing advancement in it. And if you look even further back there, I think it was the first Mortal Kombat was considered the most goriest game. And if you actually play the original Mortal Kombat, which I have, and I suck at it, the graphics in there are just horrible compared to modern standards, with especially with gore and blood and everything. It's so graphic with those old graphics that the ESRB was created because of that.
Yeah, but I can actually tolerate pixelated blood more than I can realistic blood because I'm
hmm
squeamish.
But for the fact that the
And
graphics at
thankfully,
that, go ahead.
and thankfully, in some of the older PC games, if there was blood and violence, you could tone down the gore to from excessive
hmm
violence to like little to no blood,
Yep. Every time I
and then it could be just
plug
perfect for everybody.
hmm like what you were talking about with Resident Evil 2 for the Nintendo 64 version, every time I plug that in, then start a new game, it says, okay, what do you want the violence to be? High, medium, low? Well, what color do you want the blood to be? Blue, red, green?
That reminds me, did you notice the color change in Ganondorf's blood between the original Ocarina of Time and the 3D version? Did you notice there actually is a color difference?
He's actually
Ganon's
changed a
blood
lot.
is red in the original.
Like, even based, if you read the manga version of it and watched the original animated cartoon, he was like a pig demon or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So he's definitely
Yeah.
changed, so that wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, not much has changed regarding the pig demon. But what I'm specifically saying is that in the original Ocarina of Time, when Link slashes his sword and then stabs Ganon directly in the face, you see splatters of red blood in the original. In the 3D game, it's been changed to green slime.
Probably to reduce that gore effect.
Probably.
Because we associate, when somebody decapitated, we associate the red with blood, but if you associate it with a different color, it just kind of gives
lessons.
Yeah, lessens or dilutes the feelings from that you can get.
And some games have been changed due to controversy.
Oh,
For instance,
yes.
did you know that the mirror shield in Ocarina of Time originally had a crescent moon with a star on it?
That I did not know.
It did, and it was very beautiful. Heck, when you got it out of the chest in the Spirit Temple, the entire thing looked like it was engulfed in a starry night. The Fire
So what was
Temple.
the
The Fire Temple had different music. There used to be chanting in the background.
I see what this is getting at. Demonic worship.
No, far from it, actually.
Oh, wow. That's actually shocking.
More like, it was more of a spiritual thing.
Because usually with...
It looks like there was a big prayer chant in the background, and it was very good. It just made you want to dance to it, or at least that's what that's what it did for me.
As I know with a lot of games,
But
when it comes to the controversy stuff, it's usually very little things, and a lot of times it does have to do with religious things and offending different religions.
mhm. And the rumor is that they changed it because it was affecting the Islamic culture.
Yeah, I can name several things that were actually religious symbols that were, when it was actually finally produced, it did not resemble what it was supposed to originally, or it could be referenced to something else, like the Buddhist symbol in one of the Zubat cards from the original Pokemon cards games. Almost the same as the swastika used by the Nazis, even though it was the Buddha symbol, not the Nazi symbol.
I think it's actually a Hinduan symbol or something. I don't recall that symbol being a Buddhist thing. But yeah, the swastika has a different meaning than most people remember. Like, swastika by itself means good to be oneself, or well-being of the soul. It was only until it was reversed and then tilted on its side, in which, by the horrible Nazis, it was changed into something completely opposite.
And now any
It's
even resemblance to that symbol is immediately linked to Nazism.
it's like, hey guys, learn the difference. Sure, remember what happened, but learn the difference. The past should never be forgotten because, as it's been said on one particular episode of the original Teen Titans, those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And how
Yeah,
true that is.
I forget who actually made that saying, but yeah. I mean, look at, even with Hitler, if he would have read a history book on Napoleon, he would have learned not to attack Russia during winter.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, so reading and history, that's why history is important. I hear so many people say that, why do we even learn history from the past? Why don't we focus on now? But what they don't understand is the reason we are here now is because what has happened in the past. And by learning what's happened in the past, we can not repeat the mistakes. graphics that were made.
Learning about other cultures can give people a little bit more aspect as to why different video games from different countries have different themes. Like, for instance, most games that are targeted towards an American audience are violent, but it's in our culture. Violence is what helped us gain independence from Britain. Violence is what kept us alive. And so
True.
violent video games is just in our culture. And it still is, but
And
for the wrong reasons.
when we think about violent video games a lot, you could think of either the war games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, let's see, trying to think, Medal of Honor, Brothers in Arms, or
Hmm.
a modern one. Crap, it's Battlefield. There we go, the other one. Those, you're playing as the good guys, killing the bad guys. Simple, straightforward as that. And historically,
And games that are... I'm sorry, finish.
Historically, that is our country. We're the good guys, and everybody else is the bad guys. Games make sense to a lot of people. You want to be the guy who kills the bad guys.
And a lot of people shun on games that are targeted towards more the Japanese audience, specifically games that are revolved around dating simulators and other stuff, because they're mostly themed around high schoolers. But there's something that people just really need to understand about Japanese. High school is the last stage in a Nihonjin's life before they're immediately subdued with 12-hour workdays and not really spending a lot of time with their families.
Well, that,
And
and you
dating
also have
simulators
culture.
allow them to have somebody in their life without really having to devote time to them. Because why start a relationship if you can't maintain one?
Exactly. And with also games with that, yeah, these guys we got a real culture is accepting of this stuff. This stuff is okay in their culture, but in our culture, it's not.
It's not. Because we Americans see it as pedophilia.
Exactly. So we need to respect their culture. But let's let's try to get back on topic here. Some when you look back at games, some of the older games that are being remastered, is because so many people still want to play them, whether they have better graphics or not. They were still playing the original ones and wanted to see them on a new console. And sure, some new graphics, but for the fact that they still play the original games, that means they obviously don't care about the graphics because it's the storyline, the dedication of the developers make the game great, not the graphics. Because if you look back at one of the original games, like Zork, a text-based game, there was no graphics whatsoever. You would just enter a command, north, south, NE
East,
for northeast.
west.
Yes, and that was the whole game, and it's pretty fun. And there's no graphics, so just to solely make a game based on graphics is basically a Russian roulette game.
You
You
never
can
know what
either
you're gonna
kill
get.
or you can survive. I mean, look at Call of Duty Ghosts. Everybody said that had the best graphics of games, but the storyline and everything else about it was horrible. Great, and that's a case of them focusing too much on the graphics and not so much on the storyline and the gameplay, the heart of the game.
Hmm.
All right, so is there
And then
anything?
there are some people who just don't give a rat's behind about story. They just want to kill shit. I'm like,
Yeah,
really? You are not giving the game developers enough credit for what they do. They put a
definitely.
little hard work into this story. You ever seen fanfic writers? I mean, some of them go on writer's block for a while. The same thing can happen with game developing.
Very true, and can't believe I forgot this topic, but when we discussed it before the video, a lot of the reviewers of these games, the players, they've never actually played these games. Like, I've seen so many reviews that say this game sucks because it's not on PC, or it sucks because Microsoft created it, or because Capcom created it, and Capcom always creates crappy games, so you should always expect that from Capcom.
Like, Capcom doesn't always create crappy games. I mean, look at Phoenix Wright in the Oracle series.
And Resident Evil and Dino Crisis.
Yeah.
I mean, you could go on, but just because this person had mints with a Capcom game, he has now created that false belief that every single Capcom game will follow in this one game step and try to ruin the company's image.
It's like my grandmother with yogurt.
I mean, we all are entitled to our own opinion, just like this video. This is our opinion. Everybody can have their own opinion about whether or not the video game industry is truly failing or not. But it's truly say that just because of one experience that this whole company is horrible despite other products that you have not tried, slander and defamation towards the company, which in America is illegal.
Yeah, really.
Because, sure, I don't like what was it, the Sniper Elite Zombie series. Personally, I think that's one of the worst zombie games I've ever played because it's still set up for the mechanics to be a sniper game, however, with a lot of close quarter combat, and it's still set up to as if you're playing with more players than just campaign. They weren't really original with the maps as they took most of the maps from Sniper Elite V2. I also said the pros of the game, what was actually good about it, what worked with the game. Just ruin the reputation of this game. I was trying to create an image that, yes, this game has a lot of flaws, but it also has a lot of goods, and hopefully that the company will see these and actually make improvements to the game through an update or by re-releasing the game with.
Yeah.
And I think that's how reviewers of games or any product state the pros and state the cons, but don't discredit the company themselves by saying everything they create is going to be the same. Just horrible. You can't do that.
Another thing that people discredit games about is when this is particularly true for some more recent, popularly talked about games like Undertale and Five Nights at Freddy's. A lot of people saying that these games are extremely overrated because of certain things. Like Five Nights at Freddy's is simply a sit and survive game, full of jump scares, and that's it. And true, but there's also lore to it. And true, the jump scares aren't appealing to all audiences, but it appeals to some 90s kids like me because we remember these critters from our childhood, or at least similar critters from our childhood, and we were legit terrified them as children. So they're going to scare us more than they're going to scare anybody else.
Sure, I do admit, like, I think it was Markiplier I was watching playing it. After a while, or no, it was Spike that was playing it. After a while, you play the levels over and over again. You just kind of get used to the jump.
You get used to it, yeah. Well, except
so
for
that
me,
does kind of
since
draw it away. But that game, the storyline that's hidden within it, and all the Easter eggs that Scott has put in there, even hinting at the next game, that it adds to the game.
I know, right? Like, there's
I mean,
just
that was
so
one
much.
of the reasons why I actually got the game.
Yeah, I officially have all the games now.
I only got the first one. I can't get past the second night because of freaking Chica.
I had trouble with getting past night 3 for a while because Bonnie or Chica kept getting me. But finally, I I passed night 3 while Chico was in the room. I made it through night 4 on the first try, and Freddy never left the stage, and I'm kind of stuck on night 5. I'm
Yeah.
stuck on night 2 in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 because I keep getting the Balloon Boy Foxy combo. Those jerks.
Oh, that's fun. But still, even with those games, I like it. You can say you don't like it, but don't just strictly focus on the negatives to make the game look bad. I mean, the person who created the game, they took time out of their lives to create this game for the
Yeah,
players
and
and
it's not even
to
that, expensive. So I personally
us
think the
cheap.
game is really good for its given price.
And another
Like,
topic that's related to this is the indie game market. You know, a lot of the indie games like Five Nights at Freddy's and Slender Man even, or like a Total Miner, which is another version of Minecraft, or Castle Miner Z, or any of the variations of Angry Birds you could find. People still took time
and
out of their lives to make those games. So to just say that they're horrible or the originals are better, you can't create a duplicate that's better. That really hurts the developer of the game. And also with that, you gotta realize with these indie games, this is people who are not financially backed up by Microsoft, Bethesda, Blizzard, or Jax, or any of the other games. This is them on their own creating these games. So they have very limited access to money, sometimes even equipment.
and and Scott Cawthon specifically, he beta tests his own games himself. He couldn't even get past 420 mode on the first game.
Yeah, but game companies also need to, especially consoles, need to help back up these indie games. I mean, yeah, the Xbox 360 marketplace had a lot of great indie games on there, but a lot of those actually did not transfer over to the Xbox One. So they were strictly Xbox 360.
Well, that's a stab backwards, don't you think?
And if you look at the statistics, when a new console comes out, they always offer a loyalty fee, which is you bring us in your old console and we'll give you half off of the new console. So
That's
with things
well,
like that, a lot of people get rid of their old consoles to get the newer ones, and the games that were strictly on the old console, you can't play them anymore unless you go back and rebuy the old console.
it's really kind of silly when you think about it. I mean, like,
It is. I mean, like Castle Miner Z, which is one of the indie games I play both on Steam and on the Xbox 360. When the Xbox One came out, their game did not transfer over to the Xbox One, or if they have, I haven't heard anything about it. All I know is it's on Steam and the Xbox 360 only. But they stopped updating the Xbox 360 version and strictly focused on the Steam version because it still ran on all computers and wouldn't be outdated.
you know what I also don't like about when people negatively crush on games?
What?
The fandoms.
Yeah, now that's
There's a
a
lot
really
of
separate.
games that have a yeah, but some people really do underrate a game specifically because of the fandom. And that's
Yeah.
just and that really should be a discussion topic in itself.
Yes, definitely with fandoms, because sometimes fandoms can be a great thing for the game and great publicity, but at the same time, it can really hurt the games or TV shows or movies and actually make it seem less um,
Hmm.
appealing to other players.
And some fandoms start out great for games. Like originally, and I really have to bring this up again, but the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom used to be good. I was in the fandom
Oh yeah.
The first game came out. It was great. And then some horny teenagers had to ruin the rest of it.
Yes. That's where the fandoms can come in as being bad and wrongly impress the game. I mean,
Mhm.
come
And
on,
then
people,
people
stop.
shunned the rest of the people in the fandom for just the few bad apples that they found.
That another
Like
reason
there's
why
nothing.
some fandoms are bad is because of the fact that they'll go into other people's fandoms. For like the PlayStation loves to do this in the Xbox community on Google Plus. They like to go on there
Oh
and
no.
constantly rant about how the PlayStation is better and the Xbox sucks. Now that just makes the fandom of the PlayStation look like a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, I've actually heard something similar to that just in somebody's YouTube intro, where somebody screamed the phrase, PS3 is better than Xbox and Wii is for little girls.
Yeah, when
And
you
I'm like, okay, I'm a female and I'm short, but I'm certainly no little girl, mister.
yeah, and that's when
I
the
will take my
fandom
duck hunt shotgun to your face.
because these people they don't realize that when you create a fandom for a game, you're kind of representing the game themselves, even though you're not being paid for or being sponsored by the game. But what content you create for the game, that is going to reply or reflect back on the actual game, movie, TV show itself.
Hmm.
So definitely think about that when you create stuff for fandoms, or if you want to and say they suck. Think about how that's going to make your fandom for the game or movie, show, whatever you like look.
It's it's really sad what gamers in the community are just turning into because of this sort
Hmm.
of this stuff. It's like, yeah, it's if you like the fandom and not the game, that's okay. If you like the game but not the fandom, that's okay too. What's not okay is trying to enforce your opinion on somebody else, like they're actually going to change their mind about what they like.
Hmm. It does more harm than it does anything else.
If anything, it just ticks people off.
Definitely. And actually, one last thing while we're talking about this, what I recently realized is also with games and fandoms and whatnot, when you come to the online gameplay of games, that also really hurts a game because you have players on there that are brand new to the game, like got Call of Duty Black Ops for Steam because I don't have my Xbox here. So I started back at level 4, and the next thing you know, I'm playing a game, an online game, and I'm being called a noob, a retarded loser, pathetic, or oh my god, the noob killed me, he's a hacker, let's all block him because he's pathetic. It hurts the game, the vibe from the game. Because if I go online, I want to be able to play the game and have fun, not be taunted or be yelled at.
Yeah, I've had that experience before myself. Like, um, when I was first getting into dungeoning on World of Warcraft, this was like 3 years ago. I was a level 20. I was doing a dungeon for the first time, and the other party members would not let me attempt to keep up with them so I could keep healing them. So they kept bad mouthing me over and over again. When I told them when we went in that I was a new player and I didn't know the map, and they still continued to hound me like I was just on a new alt,
Hmm.
which really ticked me off. Then I went horde side and I was actually paired up with people who were a lot nicer.
Which is the way it should be. You should be paired up with people that are, they're good, they're nice. I mean, I'm not going to say trash talking ain't bad as long as you mean it for fun. Like, you're not actually doing it to bully people. But
I
from
mean,
what I've experienced, it's been nothing but cyberbullying through games, and it really turns a lot of people off playing and ruins the
what I
experience.
really What I really like about some MMOs is when you line up for dungeons or raids, they'll typically pair you with other people that are within 10 levels of you.
Mm-hmm. Like the ranked matches on Halo, when I would join those, because it's been forever since I played. But I joined a ranked match with people that were actually the same level as me. Now, through the Steam version of Black Ops, so the PC version online, all servers are independently owned. They're not owned by Black Ops. So I went through one of their ranking matches, and this is how it was set up. Me, level 4, another guy, level 10, everybody else, level 49, 50, or level 5 prestige. That ain't really a ranked match.
Hmm.
Because I lost
Excuse me.
so horribly when playing on that server because of that. And with the PC gamings, and the only other game I played like that was the Battlefield series online. When servers become independently owned, they create like these BS rules and whatnot. Like for Call of Duty World at War, I was playing this one server, and throughout the whole entire game, I could not run, I could not stand up. I had to crouch everywhere that I went because if I didn't, I'd be automatically kicked from the server.
That's really crappy.
And when you put in those BS rules, or like this other server on Call of Duty Black Ops and Modern Warfare, or not Modern Warfare 3, Call of Duty World at War, they have servers that rig the EXP, so like every 2 kills, you instantly level up. In one day, playing Call of Duty World at War online for the first time, from a level 1 to a level 38 in one day, just based off of those servers. So, with those servers, I feel that it really does provide an unfair advantage for everybody else. I mean, you get 1 or 2 kills, and next thing you know, you're already level 43. If you're playing servers that aren't like that, it's really not fair
Hmm.
to the other players.
You know what else gets under my skin? When the people are so some MMOs, people just freak the heck out if they find out you're actually a girl gamer.
Oh my god, I've had this several times, even on Xbox Live. It was actually with a Castle Minor Z server. A female gamer actually joined, and the guys were just like, being complete dicks to her. So I blocked them because, if you like to play video games, great, join me. I don't care. It doesn't affect your gameplay, but these guys were just so rude. And then the girl actually, because I kicked them for being sexist towards her, and that she implied that as I was trying to be dominant or something.
That's really rude.
Yeah, I mean, I stick up for the people on my server. If I see people that are being bullied, I stand up for them. I don't care if I'm now the target of all their jokes or anything. I will not stand to see cyberbullying, especially online in games.
Another thing I really hate is if I'm voice chatting online while playing a game and people think that I'm actually some little kid because, as you can see, I have a very pitch voice and people tend to not take me seriously.
Hmm. I
And
could definitely see that.
there are some people that play like Call of Duty Online who are actually 9 years old and spitting out swear words left and right worse than Foxy the Pirate Word if he had a human version.
God, and that's also another problem with the gaming industry, with the ESRB in particular. They do not monitor that stuff, and parents they complain about their kids, and they're the ones that buy the games. Has ever been
Yeah,
created.
it's like the reason why there's an ESRB rating stamped onto the game as soon as you look it up online or look it up at the store. I mean, you
Mhm.
gotta really look at that and pay attention to your child's age, because if they're not in the right age level, they should not be playing the game. I was 3
Exactly.
years old when I was playing Rise of the Triad, and that was a mature game back in the 90s, but hey, I knew better.
So did I. But like every single law that has ever been created to prevent underage kids from playing M-rated games, so 18 and under, has been deemed unconstitutional by people protesting it. In Missouri, when I was it was a couple of years ago, as I was still in high school, I went in there to buy a new copy of Outbreak File 1 because the copy I got off of Amazon, don't order anything from Amazon, never do. Uh, it was completely
I've never
broken, it
bought
didn't
anything off
work,
Amazon.
it actually kept on crashing my PlayStation, so I went to GameStop and said, this one from Amazon, and it was a crap version, so do you have a spare copy that I could purchase? And I actually got the last new copy they had of Outbreak File 1 for the PlayStation 2, but things like, okay, are you 18 years old? No, but I have had previously played the game. Well, the new Missouri law states that you have to be 18 or older to purchase this game without a parent's consent. So I had to have my mom come into the store to tell them that I could buy the game.
Yeah,
And,
that another thing that can't really be regulated is that state laws vary.
mm-hmm.
It's like
Well,
the mat-
these laws
the
actually went
mature
to the
tab on
federal court.
ESRB typically relates to people who are at least 17 years of age.
Mm-hmm. But to blame the video games themselves is not
It's
okay.
stupid.
You are buying these games for your kids, or letting them buy it, and you are letting them be exposed to it. That's not the game part. The game was created for teenagers, mature audience. By you letting them play that, you are the one solely responsible, not the video game industry.
Yeah, really.
I mean, the ESRB was created by parents for that reason.
So it makes sense that parents should actually enforce it,
Exactly.
but they don't, and that is it's very sad. It's worse than sad.
It is. And it's
And
even
what?
sadder when people actually blame the video games themselves for the crime. Like, one of my case studies I did for college was of a man who killed several police officers, including a police dispatcher, and stole a cop because he played for several hours straight Grand Theft Auto.
Mm.
I mean, if you're going to kill a cop, steal his cop car because he played a video game, something is wrong with you. And he wasn't a little kid, this was a teenager who was
Oh my
playing
god.
this, but he was indeed a teenager. The
A
morals
similar
of
a
right and
similar
wrong.
similar offense was used in one of the Law and Order episodes, where somebody committed a violent act and then laughed about it because he had done it in a game.
Yeah, that's also with NCIS. They did an episode like that. Truly blame the game is what are you really blaming about the game? The game was created for mature players, not people who are not old enough to play it, or I should say mature enough to play it. Hey,
You know, people who buy mature content games should have to take a competency test.
or just be the game. You know this is a video game. Everything in this game is not real. You cannot sue the company based off of actions you have taken because of this game at the cost of your own stupidity.
It's like when they put a warning label at the beginning of every Mythbusters episode. Don't try what you're about to see us do at home. Ever!
Yeah. I can remember back in the 90s when they didn't have to put that crap on stuff.
The whole warning label thing in particular isn't because of us, it's because of stupid people.
exactly like on a hair dryer that says "Do not use in a shower."
In the shower.
Yeah.
Or do not stick this curling iron in any orifice.
Hmm.
Like, where did that even come from?
Yeah, I mean, some of these instructions, they are common sense, but apparently a lot of the gamers don't have common sense. One of
Evidently.
those. Hmm. But something else I've actually wondered and theorized is why don't we actually have the government step in and do something about this? I mean, look at how many suicides have actually happened because of online bullying through video games. I
Well,
mean,
actually, I kind of have to disagree with this one because the government is already doing a horrible job regulating things like Medicare and education. Why would you trust
true.
them to regulate video games?
That well, yeah, that is true. But still, have some type of enforcement for that, because I mean, look at trolls and everything. The amount of damage some of them can actually do to a person, like
That is
unbearable.
that is true. A lot of a lot of suicides, in particular, the last 3 years, I believe, have gone up significantly because of online trolls. And their only line of
Online.
defense is, "It's the internet. What can you do about it?" I'm like, how about you actually take responsibility for your own actions, you dickwad?
Exactly, regulate them, because so one of the biggest policies is you report them for bullying, they observe it. If they feel that you were bullied by them, they block the user, remove their username and whatnot. But what's preventing them from creating another account under another email address and then going right back to doing the same thing?
Well, there is this concept that allows people to somewhat prevent that. Uh, a lot of gaming companies are able to IP ban or even MAC ban somebody. And when that happens, if somebody has proof that somebody is using an alternate account to target somebody for trolling or just griefing in general, and they have enough evidence to actually discipline that person, the the people in charge, the higher ups of the specific online game or community, can target the guy's IP address and just block it from their system entirely. No amount of new email addresses is going to be able to get them to come back in. They'll have to get a new Wi Fi modem, a new computer altogether, and start from scratch.
Exactly, which surprisingly some people actually do that, which
It's like,
is still disturbing.
it's
I
still a
mean,
pain in the butt.
this way, if you were to tell me you commit suicide and I actually committed suicide, then of course you would be liable for that because you're the one that told me. But if you do it through a video
Yeah,
game, they what can they really do about it? I mean, there's no voice recording that records everything you say, so they can't look back at that. There's no
yeah.
real
And
evidence to support that it really was this person or a person by a similar username.
the only time you can really record somebody talking about that over voice is if you had something like OBS, Open Broadcaster Software, and you had a recording the entire time you were playing. And I actually
Mhm.
was able to report a troll once because I suspected they were doing something they shouldn't have on a particular area in a game called Second Life. I recorded them being heinous to patrons while um, an admin was, even though in the room, he was AFK.
Mm. Which I do agree that it's our responsibility as gamers to help report these people, not just it's like the bystander effect. Don't
Hmm.
wait for somebody else to report them. If you see somebody that is being a jerk to someone who is deliberately cyberbullying, I mean, without a doubt, this is cyberbullying. This ain't just trash talk. This is legitimate cyberbullying. step in and help them, because the more people that report this player, is that it will keep the player will be looked up faster by the administrators, moderators, and it will be dealt with faster. If only one person reports the player, it could be days or weeks before they actually go in there and look at the case for the more serious cases. So definitely stand up against cyberbullying, especially on games. Now, if you're just trash talk, that's okay. As long as it is just trash talk, it's not actually purposely or defamation or purposely attacking the person for the sole purpose to cause feelings of depression, feelings of worthlessness, then that's fine. But if it is for that reason, it's not trash talk, it's cyberbullying, and it's it.
I've noticed that a lot of people, they tend to put it like we have some very young Let's Players out there, and by young I don't mean like young in age specifically, but young as in they don't really have a lot of subscribers or views, and a lot of them are getting attention from the wrong crowd. Like, I recently had somebody comment on one of my videos, "Everyone watching this drink bleach, she ain't gonna do anything." And
I saw that post.
luckily, I have this thing on my YouTube. Not a whole lot of people know this, but under your channel settings, you can blacklist certain words like KYS, bleach, and any other swear word in the dictionary you want. They will automatically be filtered as spam, and you can just delete them right away before anybody else sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And that also gives me a chance to block that person. Ban them from their channel, because if they obviously don't like the crap that I'm putting up, then they have no business being here.
Exactly.
That's another thing I hate about the gaming community in general, is that they say they hate a certain game, yet they're looking up things in a specific fandom just to taunt them. I'm like, ugh!
That's deliberate bullying. So that's not fandom wars or what fandom's better. That's just deliberately attacking someone based on their likes. That is cyberbullying. You cannot describe it any other way.
That.
But one of my videos I actually did for was for Command and Conquer Riddler 3. I did a mod video, and this was my first time actually doing the mod, so I was still trying to figure out what each one does, and somebody commented on my video, learn how to play the game, you mental retard. Like, I've been playing Command and Conquer Riddler 3 for a very long time. It's just, this is the first time I actually used a mod for it. So.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's like, and this is generally where I throw in, you should keep your mouth shut unless you know what you're talking about.
Exactly. The world we live in is a cruel, cruel place, and very sadly, not many people are actually standing up to do it. There are very few people that are actually seeing this as a real problem and actually are trying to do something about it, while everybody else just off. Because it's, why should I care? It never happened to me. It doesn't involve me, so why should I care? Why should I give a damn about this?
People really should.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I think that actually kind of wraps it up for this video. Unless there's anything else you want to discuss.
Not that I can right offhand, but if we ever think of anything else, we can just schedule another video.
Okie dokie. So, this has been Runescapefar and TheNekoMimiGamer.
TheNekoMimiGamer.
Yes. And please subscribe to both of our channels. And definitely like and watch some of her videos. And please do the same with me. And if you got any questions or if you'd like to see us discuss something else, please make sure you comment it in the comments below.
Yes.
Also, if you would like to see me play live Five Nights at Freddy's and watch me get the living piss scared out of me, definitely say that in the comments below.
Okay, now I want to see that. I'm sorry, but I want to see that.
I figured you would because you love FNAF.
I also
Should
like
actually got
getting
my
the pants
roommate
scared
on
off of me
YouTube.
myself.
I actually had my roommate from Taiwan who's never played Five Nights at Freddy's before play it, and his reaction was so priceless. I wish I would have asked before we started this, could I film this on YouTube? Because he would have, when I actually told him that afterwards, he said he would have been totally cool with that.
Yeah, I specifically like playing the Five Nights at Freddy's games closer to Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Because just then the jump scares are more fun. Because you're actually in a time of year where it's okay to be scared.
That's why for my YouTube channel, during the months of October, I did like Oktoberfest kind of on my channel where I did a bunch of the scary horror genre games. Because it just felt more appropriate to do it than do it like in January or even in December. I mean, it just has that right feeling to it.
That reminds me, there are some games that have this calendar setting. I mean, I realize we were supposed to be ending the video right now, but there are some things about certain games that are programmed to redecorate themselves based on calendar date. Like in Rise of the Triad, the original version, the loading screens would change based on the time of year. Like on Halloween, Lorelei Nee would have cat ears, and Vi Barrett would have a witch's hat. And Cassette would have rabbit ears on Easter, a Santa hat on Christmas, and somebody was wearing a red, white, and blue top. No, they were holding the American flag on July 4th.
And actually, that's actually a good thing for businesses to do, especially for the mobile games. Like when The Simpsons Tap Out releases their updates for the different game seasons, character you can only get most of those characters you got to pay to unlock. That can boost revenue for the game that normally it wouldn't get.
It's like, why pay to unlock it when it can just be open temporarily for the season?
Well, like I said, with The Simpsons Tap Out, for all the Halloween events I've done for that game, they've always added new characters. Sometimes they would bring back the other characters and make them free. Other times, you still had to pay with the premium currency or have other premium characters unlocked in order to complete their quests. Like Kane and Khan, you would get Kane for free, but Khan you would have to unlock with premium currency to do the missions with him. I mean, I don't like that strategy, but it works. So that's how they make their money. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'm probably going to come up with something later. I do that a lot. We try to stay on the subject, and then I come up with something that's relevant, but it also deviates from that. And then when we try to wrap it up, I think of something new that we should have discussed earlier. And conversations technically go for hours.
Oh yeah, that's like my media ethics class and my other ethics class. We get so off topic. It's not funny. And when it came to like what was being discussed on our midterm, it's like, well, what have we discussed? Because we got off topic so many times as like, did we actually cover this or did we not?
One day, I'd really like to do a game review about specifically the maps of the Legend of Zelda franchise. Because I have this friend of mine, we would talk about this particular subject for 8 hours at a time just on Skype. And that's because we have a very logical theory as to why the maps look so simple. I mean, simple, similar, yet different at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like Nintendo would like us to believe that, oh, everything has changed with magic. It has some effect on the world, yes, but it doesn't have as big an effect, say, as it does in between Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess. Like, it would take an insane amount of magical influence to create all those chasms.
Yeah, true.
But I personally cannot discuss the whole thing myself. I would need my friend's help with me, and that would mean having a three-way discussion with all three of us.
Okie dokie. Now, I haven't played many Zelda games. I played the Ocarina of Time, and I played a little bit of Majora's Mask, and I think not Twilight Princess. What is it? It's the new one for the Wii U. It's like
Breath of the Wild?
no. Right, my neighbor knows this because he's the one I play it with. Right. It's like a battle royale kind of style game. You pick your character and weapons.
Oh! Hyrule Warriors!
That's it. Hyrule Warriors. That's
I
the one.
played
Those
that
are the
game
only ones I
only
play.
once.
Yeah, I play it every so often. I go over to my friend's house, and it's fun to play.
It really is fun to play, except a game look a lot like they did in Ocarina of Time, just with a different design.
Mm-hmm. But yeah.
But yeah, I think
the
we've.
Legend of Zelda games they're pretty fun. Although the only thing that I don't like about the games is the confusing storyline of how much they go back from Link being an adult to Link being a teenager to Link being a kid again, and it just really confuses me. Like there's no set storyline. It's completely different and irrelevant to the previous game.
Well, not necessarily, because there is an official timeline for the Zelda games, but instead of a legit timeline, it's more of a multiverse because the timeline splits into three after Ocarina of Time. It's
Huh.
Nintendo has gone on record saying that when Link pulls out the Master Sword, it creates two timelines, each existing in its own universe. There's the timeline in which Link is sealed away for 7 years, and then there's the adult Link timeline, which leads to the Wind Waker, Phantom Hourglass, and Spirit Tracks, and so on. And then there's the child timeline where Link returns with a piece of the Triforce, and he's able to stop Ganondorf from getting it altogether, and thus technically preventing the adult timeline from ever happening, and that's the child timeline, which leads to Majora's Mask, and then Twilight Princess, and everything else that happens previously. And then there's a third branch that happens when Link dies.
That actually does make a lot of sense when you explain it like that, because if you're like me, you haven't played all the Legend of Zelda games, and you try watching the videos online and what your friends say about it. I only have one friend that plays Zelda, so he's my only source of news for that. But the way he was describing it to me, just so when you explain it like that, and you have people like game theorists that explain it, it actually makes a lot of more sense.
The many worlds interpretation, it is real.
No, I think we should end the video here before I go over my limit.
Wait, you still have a video time limit?
I think so. It says something about it earlier, but it's been upgraded to allow for 8 hours, but I can't remember. YouTube's changed way too many times.
I remember when I first got my account, and the original limit was only 10 minutes. But
oh yeah.
Afterwards, I was able to post longer and longer videos, and my max length video, I think, was, I don't know, 4 hours maybe?
Oh wow. See, with my school's Wi-Fi, I tried loading an hour-long video I did, not live stream, but just a normal recording, and It actually took up so much Wi-Fi that my college's Wi-Fi actually kicked me off the Wi-Fi.
Oh, dang.
I
Me
have to
now.
limit myself to how long I do the videos, so they will upload faster and get to you guys faster. So if I make a really short video, then we'll get to you guys faster, and sometimes even before I have a chance to fully,
Yeah.
like some of my little 10-minute beverage videos I did, I was still typing in the description and the taglines when it was already ready to publish.
Mm.
So definitely remember that when you guys upload YouTube videos, the longer the video, the longer it's going to take for it to upload to YouTube.
And if you're recording it instead of live streaming it, then it's not going to automatically be there. It takes twice as long just to edit it.
Exactly. And all depends on the source you use for the files. Like, from my original videos that I started off with, I had to use a Kodak camera on a tripod. And the problem with that and why it took so long for me to make videos and upload videos and why I didn't upload frequently, because the Kodak file that was used on all Kodak recording devices was obsolete, and therefore YouTube had actually had to convert it to a different file, then process it, and then upload it. So it took about 2 to 2.5 hours to upload one 30-minute video.
Dang.
Keep that in mind when you guys are making YouTube videos. Back again.
Another thing that matters is the editing software you use, because as much as it might be a snap just to clip out all the parts that you don't want and to add a few animations here and there, the intro, the outro, etc., some editing softwares take forever and a half to finally export the video in the format you wanted.
Or even import it. And like some, I was doing my one YouTube video, I did it in let's see, I think it's AVO1. And what it would do was every 18 minutes, it would kind of take a brief stop and switch to another file to start recording. So I would have two separate files for one long recording. Or if I did like an hour-long one, which I did with the Nazi zombie army, so that was one review, but the way the AV1 code worked was it just kept on broke it up to 4 separate videos. That I tried merging it into the and AVO1 is not a supported file for Adobe Premiere Video Editor, but AVO2 was. So definitely keep that in mind when you guys are picking out editing software to see what source codes, formats it actually accepts, and see what file formats your recording system will record in. So I think we'll actually end the video here, unless again you have something else.
And there is something I kind of want to talk to you about, but I'd rather do it at the end of the video because it's not even relative to anything we just talked about.
Okay, so please subscribe to both of us and leave comments on this video. Again, thank you for doing this video with me. I really appreciate it. I've been wanting to do a video like this for a very long time, but I just couldn't find people to actually do it with.
This is my first time actually really doing a collab for a live stream. Actually, no, it's not really my first time doing a collab. My first time was, I think, I was doing a live stream of Terra, and we were just talking about computers. But yeah, it really is difficult to find people to actually do these sort of things with, so.
I wish I could actually get more people. Like, I actually wanted to do this video originally with at least 4 people, but so far you were the only one that actually wanted to do it, so.
Dang! Well, they missed out.
Yes, they did. I think it actually would have been more interesting if we had more points of view than just us two. And that's also why I wanted to do this video, was because I do a lot of game reviews, and it's basically my opinion. There's no second opinion. There's no devil's advocate. It's just my opinion. I feel like I'm making it more one-sided. It's nice to have somebody else there that can argue with these things, or...
And there was only one time when I had to disagree.
Yep.
It's like you can't really have a good review unless you have at least one disagreement, but hey.
Yep, because you don't learn from success, you learn from failure.
Just like the light bulb.
Yes. So, thank you all for watching and staying with us. Live, love, and game on.
See you all next time.